Oh, nice. That's a cool one. Oh,
Oh
I
yeah,
need
we
one
got
of those. I need to
The
buy one of
Bears Christmas
those.
hat, little Bill Murray going
I have
on.
a Buffalo Bills stocking with the bear has a helmet on. He's in a stocking.
Oh, nice,
That's the
nice.
closest I have. Yeah.
It's our Christmas podcast. It's another one exciting. We've seen in our lifetime Christmas used to be a holiday you couldn't touch, and now the NFL has touched it all over. Used to be the NBA's thing, and now even though we have some horrific games for Christmas, still better watch the NBA, I'd say. But
I mean, if anyone has proven the NFL is on the naughty list, it's this round of games
yeah,
that we're getting subjected to. They thought they were so clever when they booked these. I bet they were patting themselves on the back, being like, "Oh,
yeah,
all these teams
Chiefs
are gonna,
Chiefs
you
never
know,
disappoint us.
Chiefs Broncos would have been a great, at least it would have been kind of fun, but it's a
Yeah,
real stinker. The only real degenerate gambler is the only one's going to be watching, trying to get some money back from all the presents that they put on credit. So this is where you double down. This is where you make your money back. This is where you
got to
get those
make it that
special
way.
discounts.
I've been watching some of the Hard Knocks on HBO, which has been good. A lot of NFC stuff, getting ready for the holiday spirit. So they're focusing on the NFC East, so we should start with that first game, which is the first game on Christmas. A real stinker. Dallas is 6-8-1. Washington is 4-11. How the tide and fortunes have turned for Washington. They're hosting Dallas, though. These guys know each other. 7 points is a spread in terms of this one for Dallas. Obviously Dallas wants to show up in this one. There's going to be a lot of questions in the offseason. But how do you like Washington at home? 50.5 is the over-under. Dallas favored by 7 to kick off the first one.
I actually think it's going to be a fun game, to be honest with you, because I think
Yeah.
it's two teams who are just kind of out of it. So you're just in kind of effort mode. So let's just put on a
Yeah.
show on Christmas Day, and let's just kind of sling it around. So I think I see like a big game. Like if I am going to bet on this game because I am a degenerate gambler, and just need some reason to put this
Yeah.
on. So I am going to gamble. I'm probably going to take Dak like over 1.5 touchdowns, like maybe even Pickens over yardage.
Mm-hmm.
CD Lamb, all these guys. I think you could go potentially Mariota over. I think you can move this ball on this Cowboys team, and I think even with Mariota, I think this is going to be a lot closer game than anyone it has any right to be. I think the Commanders have been kind of that close one against Broncos a couple weeks ago, but then last week not so great. But I'm gonna go with the Cowboys. I think at least the fact that they are the Cowboys and Jerry Jones is on Christmas, he doesn't want to get embarrassed, because he's got a lot of thick skin, so he doesn't want to take a couple hits on that. I think the Cowboys just come out and put on an absolute show. I think they take it to the Commanders. I think it's going to be kind of close, but I'm going to go 30-24 for the Cowboys. They're going to be able to go up and down the field as they want, and I see a big game for Pickens. I think he has in the big spotlights, he tends to have some of his best games. So I see him kind of having over 100 yards, and Dak probably like 3-4 touchdowns. And I just see the Cowboys kind of it'll be easy with maybe like a little backdoor cover by the Commanders to kind of keep it close. But I think Cowboys have control of this game for most of it. So I'll go Cowboys.
Yeah, I the Cowboys too. I don't know if Mariota is going to play though. There was some talk that he was injured again, and that if he doesn't play, I think Washington is screwed because I don't know how they're really going to put points up with that rookie. Or is it Josh Johnson? Actually, it's Josh Johnson.
It doesn't matter.
The old guy.
I changed my bet. I changed it to 30-7 if that's the case.
Yeah, I mean, I've got it 30-20. I just don't know how Josh Johnson is actually going to get anything going on this one. It just feels like it's going to struggle for them. And to your point, I think Pickens, he loves the limelight. He loves the spotlight, baby. And him and Dak are going to connect on this one. Dak's going to have a good game. I've got it 30-20. Washington is not going to have much chance, particularly if Josh Johnson is actually under quarterback. We know J.J. McCarthy is out, so 9 will not be playing.
God.
It's going to be 6-7 or whatever the kids are doing these days. Minnesota is 7-8. Detroit 8-7, and it's not been looking good, but Detroit is 6-point favorites in this one. McCarthy is out with a fractured hand, and so it's going to be Max Bosmer, I guess it is. So many new names on all these we're having to learn.
Well,
Minnesota at home, though, 6-point underdogs, 44.5 is the over-under. I mean, Detroit is struggling. They're really struggling in terms of being able to get these wins together. An 8-7 team when you're 2 wins behind the Bears in this, and if you lose this one, man, it's really difficult to make the playoffs.
Well,
can Minnesota do it?
I mean,
yeah, I know it is. So can will Detroit wallop Minnesota, or do you think Minnesota's got a chance here at home?
No, I don't think Minnesota has a chance. I think Bosmer, we saw him a couple weeks ago through one of the all-time. Will Levis would have been like, that was a bad
Yeah,
pick. It was
yeah,
so
that's one of
bad
my picks.
that he did. I mean, if you're going to bet on anything, I'm going to bet on maybe multiple Bosmer interceptions. I think, again, the Lions are the only team on this whole slate, other than they hit them and the Broncos actually playing for something. Everyone else is kind
Yeah,
of out of it. I think if again, Vikings, they can't get anything going, especially they can't get Jefferson going with McCarthy, without McCarthy. And now it's just you're going into this uncertain year with a kind of disgruntled receiver when he was
hmm
very happy, very well paid, doing well with Darnold, and now you're watching him being the number one seed. So it's going to be a rough offseason for the Vikings. And I think the Lions have just again taking that tough loss against Pittsburgh last week,
hmm
and I think again they're just going to crush them. I think you go Jameer Gibbs. I think that Vikings D's going to make it difficult. I think it's just what they do. Brian Flores, he's not going to his D might not give up. His offense might
yeah,
have no chance of moving it, but I think his defense will still play this hard. But I think the Lions are going to win. I'm going to go 21-14. I just think the
yeah.
Lions are desperate, and again, yeah, they lose the route. I think they need like a miracle to get in. Basically, they need the Packers to lose to the Ravens, which we'll talk about coming up.
Yeah.
But I think they blew it with that chance against Pittsburgh last week. That was a must win, and now trying to win and ask for help, it almost never comes.
Yeah, it's also we have these kind of things where it's like whenever a team desperately needs to win, they don't. But I think that Minnesota is, to your point, going to put up some defense. They're going to make it tough for Detroit. Detroit's not as demonstrative as they were. They're easily where they're just chucking it down the field and putting up points. You know, Pittsburgh made it look tough on them last week. I've got Detroit to win. This is an anger game. Dan Campbell's going to have everyone fired up. It's Christmas. I get it 26-16. I just don't see, aside from getting the running game going, which Detroit can be susceptible to, I just don't see, how they're going to move the ball here. It's going to be all Detroit. So I've got Detroit. But again,
Yeah.
defense will slow them down. They always seem to shoot themselves in the foot. So I've got it 26-16. Heading into our next one, the late game on Christmas Day is a Christmas miracle as Denver's 12-3 and they're 13.5-point favorites over Kansas City, who are 6-9. Yes, you heard that correct. 6-9. 36.5 is the over/under. Casey's quarterback. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce his name. We'll just
I was going to ask you
call
what
him
his
Rook.
name was. You have to say it because I don't know what to say.
It's a Ledu or something. Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway,
something like that.
hey,
It's called the Big O. The
yeah,
Big
let's
O.
just call him Rook. I don't know how he's going to stack up in this one. I mean, it just seems like, Travis is going to be quitting. It's their last
Oof.
home game, maybe. They talked about moving stadiums, too,
Well,
as well.
not even stadiums. They're moving states. To
Yeah,
go to Kansas. So it's like this could just be
yeah,
like what? We're not even the Chiefs anymore. Next year they're going to be like
yeah. Well, I mean, you
another
got the
bird.
Rams leaving St. Louis. Missouri is, everyone's leaving Missouri.
So even though it's
But,
not that far, apparently it's only like 25 miles down the road. But still, it's
sure,
still
they're
another
close.
state, and
Yeah.
it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that.
Well, I mean, but this is the last. I mean, they've got a couple more years at Arrowhead. They're not like, it's not going to be ready
Yeah.
yet. Kansas City at home. This is not the way they wanted to end this, to end it all because, obviously Mahomes is going to be out for a while. Minshew's got his ACL torn as well. Travis, what are they going to do to be able to move this? Whereas Denver, they were humbled last week by Jacksonville. Jacksonville put a little bit of a beating on them and showed and sort of exposed some of the wiring behind them. So how do you think that Denver does? They rebound in this one and just stomp all over KC, or
Well,
KC going to put on a show for the people at home?
no, definitely not the latter. The problem is they don't have like a running game that you could even help your quarterback with, right? So it's not like you could be like, all right, we're just going to hand it off to Pacheco and Kareem Hunt. It's like this is
Mm-hmm.
not going up against that defense. This is not so he has to be able to pass, and he's also going up against a team that, like you just said, just got taken to them last week, and a couple of times. This isn't the
Yeah.
first time this Broncos defense has looked bad the last 3 to 4 games. It has not looked the same. And they're not as scary or kind of dominant. And like the win against the Chiefs earlier is not looking as impressive. And they need to win because, again, they got the Chargers who just keep, no matter what, how many guys
Yep.
they get injured or how bad or how little yards Herbert throws for, they just keep winning and keeping it close. So I think the Chiefs are just absolutely screwed in this position. You're going up against a team that got beaten down, that's angry, that wants to and they're going to just kind of throw everything at this poor kid, this poor rookie on Christmas Day. It's just, you got Andy Reid, that's great. But again, your receivers weren't working that great with Patrick Mahomes. So I don't see
Mhm.
And I just think this is just a Chiefs team that's like, what are we playing for? You got the old guys like Chris Jones, like, yeah, it's Christmas. You might they're probably bummed that they're even out there. I think this is just kind
Yeah,
of like a
missing their
lay down,
families.
just a lay down game by the Chiefs, and they just don't care. I think mentally they're checked out, and I don't blame them. They played so much football over the last couple of years. To be out and just to kind of ask us to kind of put on a show, it's just I don't see it happening. I think the Broncos just got to take care of business. I'm going to go 27-10. The Broncos win, and I just don't see any way the Chiefs score, really.
Yeah, I'm with you. I've got it 24-9, and I think it's only because they're going to get a couple of field goals. It's still the Chiefs. Andy Reid's going to have some things, but this Denver team, I think there was a lot of detractors now because they went from being the best team, sort of in the AFC, to now it's like, well, Jacksonville just thumped the crap out of you. So if you face them again, what are you going to do? And so I think there's going to be a lot of answers because Trevor Lawrence has been playing lights out kind of football now, and really exposed their secondary. And you're like, oh, what happened to your defense? Yeah, I've got it 24-9. Saturday's also football because screw your family, watch some football.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's good game. This first game, we've got Houston
Hey,
10-5
listen,
heading in.
we'll give you Boxing Day. We'll give you Boxing Day. You can make it
Yeah,
up to everyone, and then we're going to put you right back in the doghouse. That's what it's all about.
put
That's
it
what
right
Christmas
back.
in the NFL is all about.
Yeah, Houston's 10-5. Chargers are 11-4. Chargers are favored in this game. We look back at they're 2.5-point favorites. Remember the playoffs where Houston absolutely just destroyed the Chargers. So there's going to be a bit of motivation there. Chargers are at home. This game 39.5 is the over under. Chargers, Perryman, I guess he's still got a 2-game suspension for that dirty hit that he had. So that's going to be affecting the Chargers defense because the defense has really been stepping up for this team, even if offensive pieces have been. How do you like the Chargers at home? Is this a slight to Houston, whose defense and offense have been playing? Both teams there got wins in the double digits. How do you like this game going?
I mean, I did until I watched the Texans against the Raiders last week, and they were just
Yeah,
bad for a big part of it. They just couldn't get anything. Stroud could get nothing moving up and down the field. Against the Raiders defense, it's pretty much given up the whole season. It was like Genty was able to kind of get 2 big plays against this defense that
yeah,
was really playing lights out. Maybe they were looking ahead to this game, knowing this is going to be a big game. And, if, I wouldn't blame anyone for looking past the Raiders the way they were playing the last little
yeah,
while. But I think this is a really fun game for a Saturday night. I'm very excited for
yeah,
this to watch like at 9:30. Definitely be up to watch this. Good. It has huge implications with the Bills, with who's going to be, the 5, 6, and 7 seed. And if the Chargers win and beat it, then they have a chance to go for the division with the
yeah.
Broncos, which then could knock the Broncos from the number 1 to the bye all the way to number 7 potentially, depending
Mm-hmm.
on what happens. Like it's just wild all the things that could happen. I'm gonna go with the Chargers. They just keep winning, and I don't understand it. There's again, they're
Yeah,
going up against without their tackles, going against these ends in Hunter and Williams. I just think
yeah,
that Harbaugh just finds ways to win. I think he's the better coach. I think has that defense playing well, and I think from what I saw from Stroud last weekend, I don't feel confident he's going to go up and down on the Chargers, but. The way Herbert's playing, he's playing. If anyone should get kind of an MVP consideration, considering he didn't have the stats, it should be Justin Herbert, the way he's just kind of willing this team, broken hand and everything, leading the NFL in rushing, which is, I never would have
yeah.
thought I would have heard coming into this. But I'm going to go with the Chargers to win and just kind of a really tough battle. Great game for a Saturday night with huge implications.
Yeah, it's coming back to that where the team that desperately needs to win doesn't, and I don't know because both of them do. I just again look. I think Omari and Hampton has been playing. It's good to have him back. Quentin Johnston as well added a couple layers to this Chargers defense or offense. I mean, but I think this Houston defense, and there is that bugaboo of the playoffs last year where they got shellacked. So I'm actually going to go with Houston in this one. I've got a little bit of an upset going on here. I think Houston wins this one 23-20.
I mean, I
It's
don't think
just
it's much
there's
of
some
an
issues.
upset, to be honest with you. Even if
Yeah.
they win, I think it's a pretty close.
Well, it's 2.5 points as a favor for
Yeah,
Chargers, but I don't know. I just feel like Houston is maybe going to come at this game a little bit hungrier. And again, it's going to happen. What happens with Denver? What happens with KC? What does the situation look like for the Chargers? They even if they lose this one, they can still make the playoffs with a couple more wins. So, but I think Houston is really going to push for it because they want to stay on Jacksonville's tail. Heading into a game late game on Saturday, a game that looked like it was going to be good, but we don't really know who's quarterbacking. Baltimore is 7-8. Green Bay is 9-5-1. Green Bay is 2.5-point favorites in this one. We don't know if Jordan Love or Malik Willis is going to play, and we don't know if Lamar Jackson is going to play. I could actually hear it in the game last week when he was like, I was reading his lips, and it's like, my back, my back. So they're being very ginger with him, the way that the injuries, it's very hard to tell with one. But Green Bay 9-5-1, Baltimore 7-8. They struggled last week, and this is it. There, you lose, you're done. So, and Green Bay doesn't want to fall behind. Obviously with the way Chicago's playing. 40.5 over under in Lambeau.
It's tough, man. I think there's a bunch of things. So the whole thing with the Packers in that Bears game last week, we didn't really get a chance to talk about it, but like how wild and just watching how the Packers just like they all just watching that onside kick to everything to that throw at the end. It was just it was like what the Bears would have done a couple of years ago to the Packers, and you were on the other end. You would have been on the other end of that game multiple times, where you like, it had this big lead, and we somehow lost this game. It was such a devastating loss for the Packers, considering like I thought Malik Willis played really well in that game. I thought he
came out. He was first
came
half.
in. He was
great.
slinging it around, and he looked confident, like a guy who could maybe, considering some of the quarterback play we're seeing in the league, like a guy who could definitely hold his own. And then you got on the other side, you got Lamar, who just like always, not that he's always, he wasn't hurt last year, but it's been a thing, and maybe it's the years of the hits, but it's like whenever Lamar gets injured, he's always like, I'm out. And there's like never any like, it's not like he had like a, torn ACL or blah, blah, blah. It's like he had a bruise, like a bad bruise. And I'm sure it hurt like hell, don't get me wrong. But like, I don't know, man. You just see like December football, your team's on the line, and it's got to be frustrating. Like, I'm sure he probably was hurt, would have gone out there, but it's not like he's looked locked in all year. Like, he's kind of weirdly just seemed out of it. Like, he doesn't, like, he went like a month without throwing a touchdown almost. Like, it's just something weird because to me, like, you wouldn't see Mahomes not come back in the game in such an important game like that. You wouldn't see Allen, not coming back in. Maybe Burrow would have probably been hurt because he's always hurt. But I think if you're a Baltimore fan, that's just such a thing. It's just, is it like a thing with Harbaugh where he's like, fuck it, I'm not coming back because I don't like you anymore. And he's just like, I'm not going to help you. I don't know. I think something's just not right. And I think it doesn't really matter because I think Cleveland wins. Cleveland plays Pittsburgh this week, and I think Pittsburgh beats Cleveland, and then that just knocks out Baltimore anyway. So I think I'm going to go with the Packers, even if Malik Willis plays, because I just think the Ravens, that game last week, just kind of demoralized them. They had it. They blew it against the Patriots. For some reason, they didn't run Derrick Henry at the end of the game when he's just been crushing them all game. And then they're like, we don't need him anymore. Let's sit him on the bench for the fourth quarter. And it's like, and they just gave it up. It was, again, John Harbaugh's done this how many times this year? How many times have we seen him do the same mistakes year after year after year? So I could see this potentially being like Lamar sits out, Harbaugh's fired, this all just goes to shit. So I'm going to go with the Packers, who seem, even though both teams are desperate, I'm going to go with the Packers to win 23-19.
There's just so many ifs, ands, and buts in this game. And, to your point, just the motivation and of course, Harbaugh's stupidity, as you say, benching Henry when he was just gashing them. Doesn't make a lot of sense. Green Bay fell apart. I mean, to me, to your point, I was scared of Malik Willis last week. I'm like, what the hell is going on? And then once, we're a team that comes back in the fourth quarter, give us 2 minutes left on the clock. Bears are going to do it, baby.
Crazy.
That was fantastic.
Crazy.
I was screaming, and it was so good. I think, obviously that hurt. You're going back home to Lambeau now, Christmas time. But I think Baltimore's still a bit cagey. Green Bay, to me, I don't know if Love's going to play, even if he does. Do you even, if you're winning, what do you do? I don't know. But I've got Green Bay to win it. 21-20. I think it'll be a tight game, low-scoring game. Green Bay gets a victory, but Baltimore is able to cover it. I could change that, though, once I see who the quarterbacks are. If it turns out it's going to be Love versus Huntley, but we don't know how injured he is, and you just play him for the half till you get the lead. Let's head into our Sunday slate, where it's a battle of Florida. The Buccaneers just have been falling apart. They're 7-8. But they're 5-point favorites heading into Miami, who is 6-9. Miami, again, playing Quinn Ewers, who also look like garbage. 45.5 is the over-under in Miami. Buccaneers, there's still a chance to win, but you got to hope for Carolina to lose. And, it's very, very thin ice for the rest of the season. How do you like Tampa Bay's chances heading into South Florida?
I mean, If I'm a Dolphins fan, I want to see Zach Wilson. Like I know it's like, yeah, he's Zach
Yeah.
Wilson. But you know who else was Zach Wilson a couple of years ago was Sam Darnold, and everyone would have been like, ugh,
Hmm.
Sam Darnold, like you are with Zach Wilson. I saw enough with Quinn Ewers last week. He's a seventh round pick. Zach Wilson was a second overall pick. If McDaniels is truly this guy, give me the guy with more upside, the guy who can run, who can throw, his a stronger arm. I just think it's crazy that the Dolphins signed this guy 1 year, $6 million to just now you have a chance to see if he is something. Maybe you can
Yeah.
give him a shot, and they don't even do it. I mean, he must be terrible at practice for this to happen. But to me, this is a gift to the Bucks, who have been, like you said, free falling. And again, devastating. They just lost week after week, losing to the Falcons.
Yeah.
It's been nothing. Baker, who looked like an MVP back in the day, now he has all his weapons and nothing's working.
Yeah.
It's just again. Todd Bowles has always been kind of this guy who can kind of get you, but when I think the chips are down and the games get the biggest in the big moments, Todd Bowles always seems to come up short. And it's like, again, Baker's always changing his offensive coordinator every year. It'll probably happen again this year. It's Again, Mike Evans is now getting old. What's going to happen with him? I just think the Bucks are on a free fall, but I will take them to beat a Quinn Ewers led team because I saw
Yeah.
enough against the Dolphins. That team has just given up, and I think this is McDaniel again, like we said, doing the George Steinbrenner or George Costanza trying to get fired,
Yeah.
just taping the trophy. Or Quinn Ewers is the World Series trophy that he is tied to his car
Yeah.
driving around. So I'm going with that. I'm going to go with the Bucks to win 27-14.
Yeah, something's happening with Tampa. It's the defense is also the defense used to be really good against the run, and now they're quite porous against the run, which isn't good when you've got Achan, who's like pretty much the best sort of running back that Miami can muster. Darren Waller coming alive as well, so I like Tampa Bay to win. I don't know if they're going to cover 5 though. It's just they've been struggling. I mean, they were looking bad against that Carolina team last week. And Miami sort of been playing, 6 wins. So I've got Tampa Bay to win, but I got Miami to cover it at 26-23. I think it's a 3-point game. Miami keeps it close, and but Tampa ekes out a win. Let's head into battle of the NFC East, where the 12-3 New England Patriots are 13.5-point favorites over a New York Jets team where Justin Fields seems to be done. They're 3-12. Two teams opposite records. 42.5 is the over/under in this one. Jets are at home. I mean, obviously New England took that loss last week, but is this a game they rebound, or do you think the Jets have any surprises, or is this Jets just being pummeled?
I mean, the Jets are just terrible. I don't know who's the Cook at quarterback again. They just announced that Fields was out. But he's pretty much done for the year. And Tyrod's not playing. I mean, I would love for the Jets to be able to pull off some miraculous victory, but the fact that they have absolutely no weapons against again, a Patriots team is a great win to be able to come back against, and for Drake May continue to look solid. Again, it's hard to imagine that the Patriots are going to lose to a Cook on the Jets and Quinn Ewers on the Dolphins in the last 2, but it really depends on what Buffalo does this way. But I think Patriots just take care of business. I think, again, Drake May just makes his MVP case against going against the easiest schedule in the history of the NFL, that he continues to just absolutely crush the teams you should crush. And the reason why Buffalo isn't in this situation is because they lost to teams that they should have beat, and the Patriots don't. And that's just down to really good coaching and really good quarterback play. So I think Pats easily win this. I think it's going to be like 27-13, maybe 28. I'll go 28-13. I don't think it's close. I don't think the Jets are a competitive team who have any answers. And unless Garrett Wilson comes back, which I don't expect, I don't see how they score.
Yeah, I've got it 33-13. I just think New England puts a stomp on them. They got the running game going. Drake May's able to spread that ball around. There were just some times with Diggs where they're just cutting across patterns, and there was no way to stop it. Diggs was just ripping. So I just don't know if they're going to be able to stop that either, that defense. New England gets it right. They know that, as you say, they got 2 easy divisional wins coming up. So this one is just a blowout. I've got it 33-13. Jets will probably be drinking at halftime. Playing on their phone, watching porn on their phone or whatever they do. They'll be bored out of their skulls. We head into the AFC North, where Pittsburgh gets the win. They're 9-6, except for DK Metcalf. He's not going to be playing. He
takes a big L. He took a big L.
He took a big L. How dare you use my God-given name? Cleveland are 3-12. Myles Garrett still looking to get that sack record. Pittsburgh 3.5-point favorites in Cleveland. 34.5 is the over under. Pretty much the Steelers just need to get a little win in this one. Is Cleveland going to make it tough for them though, or could Cleveland get an upset against their division rivals?
I mean, they could. I think again, Cleveland looked again. They played quite well against Buffalo. The problem is that Shadur just can't throw it down the field. It's the same problem that Gabriel had. It's just all it is checkdowns, screen passes,
Yeah.
little passes to the tight ends. The receivers again, it's like watching Buffalo. You can't. They have no downfield passing attack. They lost Quinshawn Judkins to a bad injury. Again, he's out for the year, which now they have no running attack. So with a Pittsburgh defense that is playing better, I think losing DK Metcalf hurts. It gives Rodgers. I think Rodgers is going to be the guy who gets sacked for the Myles Garrett record, which will be hilarious, which he's going to hate, which he is going to absolutely despise being the guy posterized in Canton being sacked.
Because they're always going to use that clip, aren't they?
I don't see any way.
That clip goes around.
And it'll be hilarious because it'll also be he'll be following Favre, who was the previous guy to get sacked against Michael Strahan for the record. So it's literally written in the stars that this is going to happen, and it's going to be fantastic to watch. But I saw everything I need to see out of Shadur. It's a good little story, but he can't move it down the field. I think the Steelers have good corners. They can play. They're playing better defense, and their running attack looks really strong. The way they're passing it, even to Gainwell, and I think the Steelers win this quite easily. I'm going to go 20-13.
Yeah, I've got it 20-18. I think Cleveland can sort of keep it close, even though Shadur does have a boo-boo on his pinky. But his dad apparently is going to kiss it better. Pittsburgh here, I think, I can see Garrett gets the sack record. But to your point, Gainwell has been really instrumental. I mean, Rodgers is finding him, just these little checkouts throwing off to him, and, obviously missing Metcalf. But, he's spreading the ball around. It could be a good game for Thielen. But, yeah, I've got 20-18. Cleveland sort of keeps it close. Kicking game is going to be the defense that keeps it in, but Pittsburgh gets the win. I didn't think that Cincinnati would show up last week, but Burrow decided to ball out, even though they're out. They're at home. They're 5-10. They're 7-point favorites over an Arizona team who continues to lose. Jacoby Brissett will be quarterbacking there. Arizona 3-12. Not very big fans of playing outdoor in the cold. 53.5 is the over/under heading into a cold day in Cincinnati. It's all over for both of these teams, but what do you think? Do you think Burrow is going to show off? Because there's a lot of people talking negative things about him and taking all his sound bites out of context. How do you think he does at home?
Yeah, again, I think that's all noise. I think it's just a frustrating season with the injuries and never getting a chance to get it going. And now I think he just knows they're losing Hendrickson. Now what do you do next year? It's going to be really tricky for them, especially with those contracts and all the money they put into those guys. Again, Tia looked amazing last week. They both looked. Burrow looked great. I think Burrow is great. Listen, Burrow's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and he went through a little thing, and I think he kind of got kicked out of it. And I think, again, who better to play a week after that is the Cardinals, who, again, they're playing Jacoby Brissett. They're really not a good football team. They're just kind of floundering, just kind of a fun little team to watch, but they just can't compete. Again, when they're up against a quarterback that's that much better, it's hard for Jacoby Brissett to win. So I think the Bengals, Chase Brown's looked really strong. He's looking like a guy who could win you your fantasy championship if you got him. So I'm going to go with the Vikings, the Bengals to win this quite easily. I'm going to go 31-21 and take care of business.
I've got it 31-20. Same thing. I think Joe Burrow lights it up. Chase Brown looked really good last week. He was finding lots of holes, and he's very inconsistent. But when he does get it going and they're able to rely on him, he's just able to gash a lot. So I could see him, because Arizona's been weak against the run. I'm with you, 31-20. Joe Burrow, they get the 6 wins, but, it's been a season where they're going to take a lot of reflections going in. Tennessee has won. We picked them last week, and they won. But this week they got a tougher task, as Tyler Shuck is, starting to move his way up here. New Orleans, 5-10. Not looking bad, but they got 5 wins. Heading into Tennessee, who were 3-12. Cam Ward, I think I saw an ad for a Tubi movie on his life.
What?
But, it's been tough for him. Yeah. There's a thing on Tubi on Cam Ward. It was like, I was flipping through and I'm like, what the hell is this? It's like the Cam Ward story. Check it out if you want.
Maybe you can just make documentaries about yourself and just upload them.
Could be.
It's like the Ryan
or just
Hall
do
story.
little Hallmark movies.
Super boring.
3-12, Cincinnati, 39.5 the over-under. New Orleans favored by 2.5 in this one. You know, the New Orleans defense has also been playing a little bit better as well. Does Tennessee have any chance in this one, or do you see New Orleans just sort of
Well, I mean,
hoing it all over them?
I don't see. I would never feel confident about any of these teams winning any game against anybody.
Mm-hmm.
But the Saints, again, like we've said over they dominated the Jets. Again, the Jets are terrible.
Yeah.
But again, Shook looks competent. Like he looks like again Olave. They're looking like they got a little connection with each other. They just have so many holes and so many things. But again, I'm gonna go with the Saints. I think the Saints are kind of just playing better football right now. I think the Titans beat a terrible Kansas City team playing the third stringers, probably never even taken a snap in practice. So I think that their victory is a little fugazi, as they would say, as the mobsters would say. So I'm gonna go with the Saints to win this. I kind of like the way they're playing. They're just kind of plucky, fight. Like they're not gonna they and Kellen Moore's got this team kind of surprising people every single week. They're putting up a fight. So I'm gonna go with the Saints to win on the road. Is it on the road? Yeah, it's on the road. I'm going with
Yeah,
the Saints
Saints
to
are on the road.
win 22-17.
Yeah, the Saints, I mean, it's been impressive. Tyler Shuck is looking competent. He's looking more confident in the pocket. The defense is starting to play a little bit better. Tennessee, you know, it's tough for Cam Ward. It's been tough to try to connect and get these things going. But, you know, it could be a little bit of a fight. I've got it 27-21. New Orleans wins. They cover the 5-point spread. It's just Tennessee doesn't have as much in the tank. And as you say, Olave, I could see could have some good fantasy points. The game, well, big AFC battle. This will be a good game on Sunday as Jacksonville are 11-4, 6.5-point favorites. Heading into Indianapolis, who Old Man
Right.
Rivers, they're 8-7, and they have just started to fall apart. Now, Old Man Rivers was throwing the ball around. He had some gas into the tank last week, but you know they are 6.5-point underdogs. They are at home in the Dome, divisional matchup. You know, but if you look at Lawrence's numbers over the past 6 games,
Yeah,
they've really
dominant.
had a bit of a resurgence here, and they're looking dangerous. Jacoby Myers has been an exceptional addition. I mean, that's why they've given him more money. It's like, okay, this guy's good. Jacksonville, 6.5-point favorites. Does Indy and Rivers have a chance? Can
No.
they establish Taylor, who's fallen away, or is this in Jacksonville continue to roll?
Yeah, of course. I think again the Colts are done after losing that game, the bad beatdown on Monday night. And they're pretty much out of the playoffs because they pretty much almost. I think they might have a little bit of a shot just to catch the Texans, but if the Texans win on Saturday night, they're already out. So I
Yeah.
think the Jags, who are still fighting for technically, potentially the number one seed, it could go that way. But again, you need the Patriots to fall. So I think the Jags, like you said, Trevor Lawrence, Liam Cohen, they've kind of now clicked. It took a while. That was really ugly at first,
Yep.
but again, we saw that even with Ben Johnson and Caleb, and that sometimes it takes weeks for
Yep.
this thing to get going, for them to kind of, maybe it's a bit complicated. Maybe it took. Baker was playing his best football at the end of last year when he was really coming on strong. You're like 40 touchdowns. Where'd that come from? I think the Jags, they're running really well with ETN. They're playing really strong defense, and Old Man River, he it's fun. It's fun to watch him out there because it's like, yeah, maybe my dad could play football still, and you're like, no, he can't.
Yeah.
So he can't. He would die. So I'm gonna go with the Jags to take this quite easy. I think the Colts, the wind's out of their sails. I think they're probably already out before this game. So I'm gonna go with the Jags, and they can't play defense anymore.
Yeah.
They lost Sauce Gardner. They've lost injuries. So I'm gonna go 30-20 for the Jags.
Pretty close score to me. I've got it 30-21. Trevor Lawrence is, 6 touchdowns. He's been balling it, man, and he's been slinging it. He's confident in the pocket. He's running. He's got confidence. He looks good. As your sort of equivalency of the Bears and the Jags, I find this is December football. They're playing really good December football. No reason for anyone to stand in their way. 30-21. Jacksonville gets it done. Lawrence has a great game. Seattle is playing great football too, and that Thursday night football game last week was just an excitement fest. I'm still giddy over it. Seattle coming in that LA Rams game, but Seattle's 12-3, 7-point favorite over a Carolina team who's at home. They're 8-7. Carolina surprised a lot of people. Now they're division leaders. 42.5 over under. Seattle, obviously emotional game last week. How do you think it goes for them this week heading into Carolina?
I mean, the problem is I don't know what Carolina team's going to show up, right? Is it the good one or the bad one? Because every time they seem to play a team you think they're going to lose to, like when they played the Rams, they beat the Rams. So is this a game where You know, Bryce Young's able to kind of get past this Seahawks D, or is this one of those games where Darnold just stinks? It's a tough one. I'm gonna go with Seattle because I just think they're better coach, they're better quarterback, they're better defense, they got better weapons. They are the better
Yeah.
team. They should be able to win this. They're the number one seed. They want to keep that number one seed, especially after a real big tough win against or playing that game against the Rams last week. That tough game. To me, I just can't trust this team. I don't know what they're going to do. They'll lose to the Saints one week, and then they'll beat the Rams one week. So I just think, again, it's December football. Bryce Young hasn't played this type of football, and I think the Seahawks are really going to make his life hell, turn it over a couple times. So I'll go with 29-23 for the Seahawks.
Ooh, you got Carolina to cover though. 7 points is the spread. So
Yeah.
this is a revenge game I think for Sam Darnold after they jettisoned him, and it's like
Well,
screw you guys. So coming back to Carolina, it's going to be bittersweet, and Jackson Smith and Jigba I think can have a great game this week. So yeah, I've got it 28-16. I just think Seattle's going to be too much. They can run it on them, they can pass it on them, they can spread the ball around. It's going to be very difficult for Carolina. And to your point, which team are we going to see in Carolina? The inconsistency. Is it a game where Rico Dowdle has 200 yards, or is it a game where he's just chucking milk jugs that are intercepted? I think Seattle puts the pressure on them. They've got a hell of a defense, and I think we'll see it shine here. Let's talk about the worst game of the week, and it's literally playing for the worst record. The New York Giants
it's
are
for the number one pick in the draft, so it's kind of exciting.
It is for the number one pick. Well, I guess it's like when you've got fantasy football and there's the last place game for the losers. It's like that game.
It's like that. There's an episode of South Park where both teams were trying to lose because neither of them wanted to keep playing, and they just it was just a battle of who was going to throw more, who was going to walk more people, basically, in the baseball game. So that's what this feels like. It's a walk off. This is terrible football at its finest.
Go 2-13, but Vegas got a win last week. Vegas, Ashton Genty has come alive. He looked good last week.
They lost to them.
Yeah, still they look good.
It's not a win, but they only lost by two. They only lost by two. That's what I mean. It was a close game, though. Yeah, it was a super close game.
They're favored by 1.5 in this one. The Giants, Jackson Dart, they've lost a lot of their tools. Abdul Carter's not looked that good for the defense when you give him all this money and all this praise. Las Vegas at home though, Christmas time. Tommy will be watching. Who do you like to win this one in the Sucker Bowl?
First of all, there's only 2 9:00 games or 2 kind of 4:00 games this week, which is really weird. I've never seen where there's 2. And one of them is Giants Raiders, so there's only technically one 9:00 game. I think the Raiders win this. I think Ashton Genty can at least. I think again, who's got better weapons? I think Ashton Genty and Brock Bowers and Geno are pretty much better than anything. Jackson Dart's working with. Playing with Tracy, which is fine. But you look at Wanda Robinson, and again, the Raiders defense played well against Stroud. They made kind of life hell for him. They still have Crosby. I just think the Raiders are going to find their way. The Giants have never had the number one pick, I think, ever in their existence. And I think the Raiders, neither fan base wants to win this game. It's going to be hilarious. I don't know if teams are the owner's going to be calling in, being like, take him out of the game, put in the punter to play quarterback because nobody wants to win. But I'm going to go with the Raiders to win this 21-16.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice to see Jameis play. That'd be good, maybe just to see if he'll throw a few interceptions to seal it. I've got it 24-20 for Vegas. Same thing. The Raiders are better. They're not going to stop Genty. Just give the ball to Genty. Max Crosby had that beautiful where he chased the Houston Texans guy down the field and ran him down. So he's still playing. So I think there's still some people in Vegas. You're playing for your home crowd. You want to get the win, and I think the Giants are just exhausted right now. So I've got it 24-20. Heading into the game that Ryan is most excited for, Philadelphia 10-5, heading into a Buffalo team who are 11-4. Philadelphia is getting back to their winning ways. They've got some guys returning back from injury as well, which is going to be tougher for Buffalo. Buffalo 1.5-point favorites in this one, 11-4. Buffalo at home. How do you like your Bills in a 43.5-point over/under match?
I do not like them at all. I've been watching this team, and even last week, they made every single game starts with an opening drive by the other team. They walk down the field. Cleveland did it. It almost happens every single game. Last week, the offense in the second half, 6th drive, they had 50 yards of offense on 6 drive. It's just they have no receivers. They have no way other than James Cook, who's just going to probably win the rushing title. And if they didn't have him, I think they'd be like a 4-win team right now. Just that's
Mhm.
how bad the offensive weapons are. And you're going against a team that's really takes away the passing game. So we're going to really be James Cook dependent. And if Philly's getting some players back, and I just see the way everyone's been able to run on us. So Saquon's probably going to be able to bust a couple. It feels like every week I'm watching a 50-yard run go against Buffalo. So I just think the Bills really showed me nothing last week against that Cleveland team, where it just didn't feel like they played down to their opponent. And I just see with their receivers, I don't see how anyone gets open. I think Josh Allen gets sacked a lot and makes it really hard. I just think the Bills, there's just they're just not a good team, and I think they can win it if Josh Allen goes nuclear. And I think expecting that to happen every single week is not a strategy to win football games. And I'm going to go with the Eagles to win 27-24.
Yeah, 3-point spread is what I have got it. I've got it 26-23 for the Eagles. They seem to be coming alive at the right time. And to your point, the Bills are frustrating to watch. The first half, you're like, do you guys forget that you play football? And like the Bears, they seem to have to rally in the second half.
Yeah.
But it's putting a lot of pressure on Josh Allen to be able to do this. And having to play comeback football, particularly, they haven't been playing well at home either. So I think Philadelphia, Saquon, they can lean on him. As I said, they've got some defensive players coming back, which is going to put pressure on Josh Allen. Especially, I think the Bills seem relegated to the fact that they can make the playoffs. It's not going to be the division leading. They will be a wild card team, but hopefully they can. I just think this game against the Super Bowl team or the Super Bowl winner is going to be too much. 26-23, Philadelphia wins it. Heading into the night game, we've got my Chicago Bears. Yay, Bears!
Ooh,
11-4 heading into the stadium that's hosting the Super Bowl this year, the Levi's Stadium with San Francisco. 3-point favorites, San Fran, also 11-4. 52.5 is the over-under. George Kittle looks like he'll probably be out for this game. Brock Purdy had a great game last week in a short week. Chicago's had some time off, but Chicago is the masters, or are the masters of fourth quarter comebacks. Defense has been playing better. The running game's been better, and there's a lot of teams. You can see there's belief in this team. I believe in them. How about you heading into San Francisco? Who do you like in this game?
The Niners this week. I think Brock Purdy, like you said, playing really good. I think Christian McCaffrey's playing as good as he's played in the last few years. He's dominant. He's out there catching everything, running for 100 yards. Should be, like, again, offensive player of the year considerations. This is like a Niners team that's like fighting for their playoff life, but 11-4, and it's great to think that they could go like 12-5 and not even make the playoffs is potentially a possibility. I just think the Niners are more desperate. I think the Bears, like you said, it catches up to you, man. These fourth quarter games where you need miracle plays and onside kicks for turnovers and bounces to go your way. I think Shanahan's got this team. He's a good coach in December. I think it's going to be hard. I think even if Kittle's out, I think Brock Purdy, again, playing really strong football. And I think the Niners are desperate to kind of stay in this, fighting for their life, which is weird that they could be like out of it, but potentially still win the division. That's how crazy this next couple weeks are. So I like the Niners to win this. I think it's going to be a fun game. I'm going 30.
I have the exact same score, but different teams.
No, I'm sure
I have the Bears to win this one. Surprise, surprise, surprise. And it's only just because of the way we've been playing. I think that the defense has been so good at forcing turnovers that I think we can put pressure on them. And the 49ers do not put a lot of pressure on the quarterbacks. They give a lot of the quarterbacks enough time to scramble. So I like Caleb. He's been very good with his legs. He's been able to good at making plays. There's times you're like, oh, when you think he's going to get tackled, and he just squeezes by. So I like it. I like the momentum. I think the Bears are feeling it. I think we win this one 30-26. The final game of Week 17 has the LA Rams, who have been playing some exciting football despite that loss last week. They're 11-4 and 8-point favorites over an Atlanta team who are 6-9, and who's playing for Atlanta, really? Kirk Cousins, though, has been trying to resurge his career.
Yeah, 2 wins in a row.
Yeah.
It's not
2 wins in a row for how you like that. But this is a primetime game for Kirk Cousins. They're at home. We're the cheapest hot dogs in the league, and that's something. 49.5 is the over-under in this one. The Rams, obviously, Puka Nacua, despite whatever he's posting online, he's still posting up some good numbers. Rams on the road, I mean, they're still 11-4. There's still a lot of competition in this division. How do you like them being 8-point favorites heading into Atlanta?
He may be a streamer, bro, but he's a hell of a football player, that Puka Nacua. He was incredible last week. So, again, I think, yeah, Kirk Cousins is fine. He actually did play have a really good game on prime time against the Bucks a couple weeks ago. But this is Stafford's kind of season, it feels like. This is another chance for him in prime time to kind of, on a Monday night, kind of solidify that MVP award, which I think, again, last week, 450 yards, again, 3 touchdowns. He's just playing such clean football every week. And just, again, he's got a great team. Which you can't say about Drake May as much. Just how efficient he's been, how good he's been over the last compared to the last couple of years as he's getting older, kind of like Tom Brady
Mm-hmm.
did in these last couple of years. He just, again, I think it's another chance. He puts up 4 touchdowns. He just wants, I think he wants that MVP. He's never had it. I think he deserves it. I think he's been the best football player in the world this year. So I'm going to go with them to take care of business. I'm going to go 30-22 for them. I just think Kirk Cousins, it's fine. I think they'll be able to move it, but he's not gonna be able to keep up. And he'll throw some picks, he'll make some mistakes. And I think again, the Rams are fighting for that. They're fighting for that division. They could go to the 7th seed. Like who knows?
Yeah.
They're like every game is massively important, no matter who you're playing. So I think the Rams take care of business. Sean McVay will have this team ready to go.
Yeah, I agree with you on this one. I mean, it's such a competitive division, and that Seattle game was just a slugfest. And, being gutted for those guys, having come so close to it and then losing it, I
Yeah.
just think there's a real motivation. And this Atlanta team, you don't know what the hell you're getting with them. Sure, they play well, and sometimes you're like, Kyle Pitts, oh my God, 3 touchdowns. What's going on? I can't see the Rams allowing that to happen. And then it's going to be desperate football because then once the Rams start building up a bit of a lead, to your point, Cousins is going to have to start forcing that ball around, and that defense is going to pick that up. I've got it 30-19. The Rams win. Folks, that's it for our NFL in London Christmas podcast for week
Yay,
17.
Merry
Hope you
Christmas.
enjoyed it. Merry Christmas to everyone. Have a great, happy holidays. And yes, we said Merry Christmas. Enjoy. And we'll be back the next podcast to talk about all the results and, of course, week 18. Thanks for listening.